Hi, Mark here. Welcome to my channel, My Doll Threads. Today I'm going to show you how to make this little theater for your dolls. Specifically, this one is for Robert Tonners and Fitzpatrick, but you could adapt this to whatever doll you wanted to. Let's just get into it. I do give you dimensions at the end of the video, towards the end of the video, of what this theater actually is, so you could adapt that accordingly to whatever doll you wanted to do this for. All right, well, let's just get into it.
I'm going to start with the stage platform, and I decided to make this the entire width of one piece of foam core, which is about 29 inches. Which that'll become it's going to be larger than the actual opening. And there's reasons for that. Reasons. And I want it to be 12 inches deep. So we're going to mark it at 12. I cut it with a razor blade. Or I guess you'd call it a utility knife. And it's really important to not touch it like I just did. But it's really important to have extra blades on hand, because as they dull, they'll start tearing the paper part of the foam core, and then it gets really ugly and it's a mess, and you're not going to be happy with it. And then I do one. I don't worry about going all the way through, although sometimes it does. And then I do one more pass, because I now need two, because I want it to be elevated. I don't want it to just be lay flat on the table that I'm going to put it on for photographs and display, so I want it to be 2 inches high. Invisible rulers are really helpful, so I suggest getting one. If you can find them, since they're invisible, get it? You might not be able. Never mind. I know it's a terrible joke. Terrible joke. But they're with quilting supplies, because we need one for the back and for the sides as well. So we're just going to do 3 strips of 2 inches wide. So that's going to be the front and back. Now I'm going to glue the stage together, the platform, and you'll see, so those pieces that I cut, the short ends, you can see I left a 1/4 inch on each end, because that's where the long piece will go in, and I wanted them all tucked under the this main part. And there is our stage platform. The proscenium part of the stage, you know, the fancy part that frames the stage, it's with the dimensions I want to make it, it's too big for one piece. So I'm going to have to split it. And it'll be okay. Actually, I think it'll be better, because I'll cut out the opening after I get this. Okay, so I have both pieces of the proscenium cut out now with the opening. So that's going to be the stage opening, you can see. And then, you know, it'll butt up against itself, but the way I'm going to decorate it, there's going to be something there, so it'll distract from that seam. So now comes the fun part of decorating the front of your theater. And so I went on Pinterest and found some inspiration images. And this was my starting point, because I wanted it to look drawn, and I wanted to keep it all black and white, and I wanted it to look kind of like kids did it, but artistic kids, if that makes sense. And then this I thought was a really nice image too. You know, you could do something out of wood and, you know, get all into that, but foam core is a lot easier to cut. So, but I like the swirls and the shapes and this little flower thing. So then from there, I started to play around with some stuff. And so I did some sketches of different versions of what I thought I might want to do. something more simple. This kind of mix, you know, and I just tried different things, different squiggles, different lines that I liked, different elements from different things that I liked. And then I eventually arrived on this one that I liked. Then I came up with the finished product. Now I'm going to trace this all in black marker, and I'm going to show you all that. And then I have these black acrylic markers that have a fine tip and a thicker tip. And you want to kind of go faster, because if you go slower, that's when you're not going to get them exactly where you want them, to be honest. Okay, and now I'm taking some self-adhesive Velcro, just with the sticky. You can use whichever side you want. But this is how we're going to attach the little medallion that's going to go in the middle. And if this works how I think it's going to, it'll also make this, yeah, so then you can just fold this, see? And then that's how you can store it. Future Mark here, who has now set this up and taken it down multiple times. Velcro's not the best. Use the Velcro to, I would use the soft end of the Velcro strips to do your hinges. That works great. But to attach these pieces and the proscenium to the stage and everything, what I found best was tacky wax. It's that museum wax. So it doesn't leave a residue. It leaves a little bit of a residue, but it does not make like an oily patch in the paper. You know what I mean? So I feel perfectly comfortable using it. And what I do is I just scrape out a little bit, and I do like a little, like just a pea-sized amount. You don't need a ton to attach these pieces. And then like I maybe do 3 or 4 that size to attach the proscenium as well. And that works really well, because then you can, what happens with the Velcro is it is too strong and you have to pull, and then the pieces bend and crease, and then they don't look pretty. So this works really well. This is what I highly recommend. So I cut this medallion, and then that will go, boom, right there. And I did the same thing where I just worked out my design, what I wanted. And a little sketch before putting it on here. This little like lyre or lute, I don't know what you would call this. I think it's a lyre, right? L-Y-R-E, that kind of lyre. Not the kind with their pants on fire. like that, in frame maybe. So this is going to be the little medallion, or the larger medallion that's going to be at the top. I'm cutting two of these pieces. There'll be teasers on the side. So since the stage extends beyond the proscenium, these will sort of go off to the side and hide that little bit extra, and also just give you some more things to play with in the display. The teasers done, the two side pieces, and I need to have them be able to stand on their own. So I'm going to sort of make a little easel type thing for them. I just cut 3 pieces of foam core for each of them, and then so that'll go on the back, and then you'll see how I'm going to attach them. But the first is to glue these 3 pieces together. I did 3 because I want them to be a little heavier. Because if you just did 1, it would still want to fall over quite as easily. Because it's still, I mean, it's really lightweight. It's foam core. So now I want these to be more on the outside edge than on the inside edge. And what I want to do is have this to be able to collapse. So I'm going to use some twill tape because I have it on hand. That's really the only criteria here. You could use binding, like Bi's binding. I thought I had some of that too, but I didn't. So you see I just glued it down, and then there's like this little flap of it still there. So all right, I guess we just run a bead of glue along there, and then do this here and do this like this, and press that in place. Yeah, and then that'll flip down. Great. And then that should be a pretty stable, yeah, stands up. Ooh, forced perspective. Actually, that's not forced perspective, that's just perspective. That looks kind of cool, right?
Okay, future mark here. Again, I want to show you how I braced the proscenium, because you can't just attach it at the bottom because it'll be really wobbly. So what I did was I cut 3 strips of 2-inch wide foam core. And one is a couple inches shorter than the proscenium, one is the depth of the stage, and then one I just laid across after I glued those 2 at a 90-degree angle. I laid this down and then marked the angle I needed to get for the 3rd one, and then I glued that in place. I'm not great with math and protractors and everything, so I'm sure somebody knows what angle that is, but I didn't, so I just laid it down and traced it and got it where I needed it to be and made it work. So that is how you make a little brace for your stage. And then all I did was take some little dots of the tacky wax and then attach that to the stage floor and the proscenium, press it in place. And I made 2 of those, 1 for each side, and it works great. I wanted to give you all some dimensions. So from the floor or tabletop to the top edge of the proscenium is about 21 3/4 inches.
and then to the top of my little applique thingy in the center, that's about 23.5 inches. And then the total width of the proscenium from left to right is 24 inches. This is a 24-inch by 6-inch ruler. And then the stage itself then extends about, you could make it 2 or 3 inches longer than the width of your proscenium. Let me see. The width of each side is 1, 2, 3 inches. So that's how wide this part is. The bottom is 2.5 inches tall. You'll want to make that just a hair taller than the height of your stage, just so that you get just a little bit of a lip that it'll look nice. The depth of my stage, oh, the lighting's not great there, but it's approximately 12 inches, about 12.25 inches deep. So that gives you an idea of the rough measurements of the proscenium. And then the widest part here, this, whoop, my backdrop is falling. The sort of applique thing in the center is about 5.75 inches tall. The teasers are 22 inches tall by 6 inches wide. You can see that 6-inch ruler covers them completely. So hopefully that helps as you're creating your own theater. The doll it's made for is Robert Tonner's Anne Fitzpatrick. And then the proscenium opening itself is 15.75 inches tall by about 18.25 inches wide. And she's approximately a 12-inch doll, so it just gives her a little bit of headroom, and just enough space so you can put a few props in there and do a nice little display, but not make it gigantic, but not have it look too little either. So that's a frame of reference for you. For a 12-inch doll, I think that's a pretty good proportion. If you want to do something for a bigger doll, you could adjust that accordingly. But I think, about 3 or 4 inches above where their heads are on the stand is kind of a nice proportion.
So there you have it. I did want to take a second to show you the set pieces. I made these the same way, I did the theater, just foam core, and then the pencil sketch, and then the black marker. But I added the little easel piece like I did on the teasers with the twill tape so they could stand up and then fold flat for easy storage. So there you go. But I just did a little tree, a little palm tree, a little cottage. So yeah, whatever you can come up with, I decided to keep it all black and white because I wanted to make the feature the doll and her outfits, but you could do this however you wanted to. So thank you for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.